Hey there. I thought I would take a few minutes and give you guys the scoop on the 10-day silent meditation that I just completed. I guess it's been about a week now, and so it took a little bit to kind of get back in the swing of things from the actual schedule that I had at the meditation retreat. And so I thought I'd start back with, how did I end up in a 10-day silent meditation retreat anyway? And it actually started sometime early last year. I listened to a lot of Abraham Hicks, and one of the things that they talk about is meditation. So I actually started doing meditation for about 20 minutes every morning, and I meditated almost every day last year up until about October, kind of a little bit after my mom passed. I got a bit off of my schedule of that, but so it had just kind of been niggling at me, and I kept saying, well, I don't ever have time to do that. And so it was actually about a week or 10 days after my mom had passed away, and I was sitting at my table and having a cup of tea and looking outside, and I mean, it just really hit me really big time that I needed to clear off my plate and, get rid of some things that were no longer serving me. And it really came up about this silent meditation, and it's actually in Jessup, Georgia. And every time I've looked at it before, I mean, it fills up really fast. I mean, you wouldn't think that many people want to just sit in silence for 10 days, but apparently there's quite a wait list for it. And so it was October the 23rd, and I said, well, I'm going to check it and see what it is. So October 24th was the sign-up day for it. So first thing, I got up on the 24th and signed up, and you have to apply for it. There's quite a few questions, and they've got some guidelines and things that you have to agree to before you'll even be considered for acceptance. So I actually got accepted, and it started January the 29th. I rode down with this woman that I met. She actually lives here close to me, and she's been doing this for about 10 years and loves it. So she was actually serving, so I picked her up at 3:45 in the morning on the 29th, and then we picked up another person in Charlotte, and the three of us rode down together. And it was really good to hear the benefits that they had received from it. So I got there early, and the grounds are absolutely amazing. It's just peaceful and silent, as you would imagine, because even the people who are on the serving team, they call it noble speech, which is they only speak when absolutely necessary. And, the students literally do not speak at all. And so registration was between 2 and 4. And at 4 o'clock, we turned in our phone, all electronics, everything. And from 4 o'clock until 6:30 the following Sunday. So it was a little over 10 days, I guess 10 and a half days of silence. And let me back up. So part of the registration process is that, like I said, you need to agree to certain things. There's a very rigorous schedule that you agree to. You agree to stay and not leave, not to have electronics, not to speak. The dress code was, they called it baggy and bland. The men and women are actually separated, so there's no, no feeling awkward or anything like that. But basically baggy clothes and that. So the first day, which was the 29th, we actually started the meditation instruction, which is Anapana, and that's following the breath. And that's all we did from about 6 o'clock, well, they served us a meal, and then from about 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, we followed our breath. And the idea is that you start actually being able to notice and follow your breath as it goes into your nostrils. And I didn't realize how much I don't pay attention to my own breathing. So the next day we moved that, and we added this area of your nose, like here to there, and then we started focusing on, could we feel sensation? And then the third day we narrowed it even more to just the nostrils and the upper lip. And the purpose of that is that Vipassana is about purifying the mind and noticing and basically accepting things as they are, not as we would like them to be. So the idea is that the more narrow of the focus area, then the sharper the mind becomes. And I have to tell you, day 3 was really, really hard for me because my monkey mind was driving me crazy. I was like, Jade, seriously, can't you just focus for like 30 seconds? It's just there. And so then I actually started negotiating with myself. I'm like, all right, let's just do 15. But it was surprising to me how little presence I have in my day-to-day everything, because all the thoughts that I had were either something in the past or something in the future. And that was addressed a little bit later. But, I got so irritated with my mind just going off, and then I have to pull it back. And so on day 4, we actually started practicing Vipassana. And with that, it's noticing sensations in the body and letting them pass. And what that means is we added 3 hours a day of meditation that was called strong determination. And so as soon as the meditation time started, then you don't move a muscle at all. I mean, if your nose itches, you just let it pass. They did say they don't want you to just sit there and hurt yourself if you got a physical problem or something like that. But, the idea is to notice the sensations in your body and let them pass. And I got to tell you, that was one of the hardest parts of the whole thing, was sitting still. And it's like, don't move a muscle, just you're sitting. So that was for each day we actually added a little bit different parts of that. So on the 4th day we started just feeling for sensations at the top of our head, and then the next day we moved on down through the body. One day we did each individual arm, and then the front of the chest, back. And then the next day we spent all day seeing if we could do it systematically, 2 arms, 2 legs. But the schedule was pretty intense too. On average, I meditated for about 10 hours a day, but the actual meditation time, our day was about 17 hours. We woke up at 4 a.m. and at 4:30 to 6:30 we could meditate in the meditation hall, which is just a big open room, and it was really quite packed. There was, between the men and the women, there was actually about 80 students. And so 4:30 to 6:30 we can meditate in our room or in our in the meditation hall. 6:30 to 7:15 was breakfast. 7:15 to 7:50 was a rest period. And then 8 o'clock to 9 was the strong determination. There was about 10-minute breaks in between these. So it basically repeated that schedule of 2 hours in the hall, 1 hour of the strong determination. And so we finished our meditation around 7 p.m. and we did something called a discourse, which was a video of the instructor talking about what we had done for the day, and then we would get new instruction for what we would be practicing the next morning in our room. And at that point, from about 8:15 to 9 or 9:30, we would finish up meditation in the hall. There really was absolutely no talking. I had 2 roommates. They say that you live like a monk during those 10 days, and part of the reason for that is there is actually no cost for the meditation. Everything that is given is based on donation from previous students, which is how monks live. Everything is, if they have food, it's because it was given to them. So that was, the food was really good. It was vegetarian, vegan, most of the time. And for breakfast, we had a choice of oatmeal, dry cereal, toast, and fruit. And then at 11 o'clock, we would have lunch. And that was, usually rice and beans and some kind of veggies, or they had some really good veggie casserole. That just a lot of different foods that I have not eaten before because I'm not a vegetarian, but it was really good. And then at 5 o'clock we had a 30-minute break, which was tea time, and we could have tea and fruit, and that was pretty much the day. And probably, my biggest takeaway from that really was how much of a monkey mind I have going on, the lack of presence in my day-to-day. And, it's it's still really tough. And I have been continuing my, of the morning I do the strong determination meditation. And, man, I can't tell you, it's just, I'm like, why will my brain not quit just chattering about anything and everything? And, with no new input. The other thing, too, is, man, I reached way back in my file of memories, and I don't know, I just had weird stuff from childhood come up, and but I did get a lot of clarity on some business things that I'd been trying to figure out for quite some time. And so I got a lot of that cleared up. And so presence was a biggie. Another one is really how much I think that I talk, and probably a lot of other people talk unnecessary things. Because, like I said, there was, I had 2 roommates, and we functioned just fine without speaking for the whole 10 days. And one of the things that's funny is we had to sign up for 15-minute blocks of shower time. And I had signed up at lunch one day, and I was in there and I was showering, and I was like, you know what? I could shower as long as I want to because nobody's going to say anything to me. I didn't do that, but it was just funny that I even started thinking about, I could do this because nobody can say anything to me, and stuff like that. When I got back, the people who are closest to me and I spend the most time with, most of them could notice how just a difference in me in general. I don't know, I have a peacefulness about me that I haven't had. And one of the other things that has been really good for me is, it's not about never getting upset about anything or always being clear in your mind. It really is about just purifying your mind and getting to a state where when things go off the rails, as they will, he said, if you're normally mad for 8 hours, when somebody does something and makes you mad, and you're only mad for 6 hours the next time, then, you've gained, at least 2 hours of happiness in your life. So this last week has been a bit challenging. A couple of things did go off the rail, because that's what happens when you're in business and life and things. And so, I noticed this morning that I'm recovering from that a little bit quicker than I normally would have. And that makes me really happy. I've got some little kids here on there. I don't know what those things are called, but anyway. So, that's pretty much the gist of my meditation. Somebody had asked in one of the comments earlier if I found myself, if I was talking to myself ever. And there was one day when I was out on the trails, and like I said, I was kind of annoyed with my monkey mind going on all the time, and so I muttered a few things to myself, and then I was like, no, you don't need to be talking to yourself. But yeah, I actually believe that's something that would be beneficial for me to do at least once a year. And it's definitely not for the faint of heart. It is one of the more challenging things I've ever jumped in to do. But yeah, I think it was really, really good for me, and I would highly recommend it. When I get home, I will post a couple of pictures, and there's a link to the webpage in Jessup where I did this, so you can see more information if you want it. But I appreciate you guys watching today, and I'm glad I was able to finally get on and do a video and share the experience. So if you have any questions about it, you can comment or send me a private message, and I'm happy to talk to you more if you have any other questions. So again, thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful day wherever you are, and I will catch you on the flip side.